Chuck Wilder here. Let me tell you about my guest, Kimberly Dvorak. She's the award-winning national security, border security investigative reporter for TV, radio, and the print media. And Kimberly is also the senior foreign policy advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy. She is the TV correspondent at CW6 News San Diego, and you'll find her every once in a while at One America News Network. Kimberly, how are you?
I'm doing well. Hope you had a good weekend.
Hey, you too, ma'am. And let me tell you, I know that you were in Washington, D.C., and then you came down to San Diego. I don't know, are you in San Diego?
Yes, I'm in San Diego, and I'll be reporting from San Diego next week as well.
Now then, and the reason I'm going to pick up on two stories, and I hope you'll forgive me for deviating away from what we're talking about. Kind of. All right. Washington, D.C., you know, we've got the Rolling Thunder motorcycle, okay? It's been a 30-year-old event, and now Washington, D.C., the city is saying, no, we're going to cancel it, and they're going to have to cancel their ride because they've raised these expenses with getting permits in Washington, D.C. The president said, hey, you know, they're great patriots. They love our country. They love our flag. And if I can help, I will.
And you should, because when I flew.
Been to any of those events?
Yeah, I mean, the day I left to come back to California, two remarkable things happened. First, you get to see all the motorcycles just all over the city. They're everywhere. And amazing sight to see all these guys and gals on the motorcycles. The second event was one of the honor flights. As I was getting ready to board my plane to California, I was in my terminal. There were these honor flight where 89 veterans, the oldest being 99 years old, coming out to Washington, D.C. to see them on the war monuments for a long weekend. And I stood there and shook every one of their hands as they walked off their plane. It was completely unexpected, but I mean, what an honor for these people to come to this country. And I simply said, welcome home, because that's a lot of them did not get that welcome home when they came home from, you know, prior wars. So it was an amazing event that the entire airport, everybody kind of made a line and cheering. And I mean, it was amazing. So I got to start off my Memorial Day weekend the right way. And then I flew to California. I'm sorry, what? 89, yeah, veterans got off the plane. A lot of them in wheelchairs. Every single one of them, yes. They're remarkable. We wouldn't be here without them. So it's just, you know, they're amazing.
Yeah, and it's really terrible, you know, the way people have a lapse of memory.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, you know, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now then, if you're ready to read this, Kimberly. Kimberly leaves the great patriotic city of Washington, D.C. And you remember when Trump got in so much trouble for talking about the S countries and stuff like that? Well, guess what? I've got a story here. You fly back to San Diego, and here it is. What is the date on this? Let me see. This was yesterday.
Yep.
Sewage flows from Tijuana have completely shuttered Imperial Beach shoreline. Dateline San Diego County Department Environmental Health issue has closed the coastline.
Yep.
Because of the sewage contaminated runoff in the Tijuana River.
Anyways, yeah, I mean, the other thing here in San Diego that's going on is you've got county board of supervisors. You have all kinds of different, you know, local municipalities as well as statewide people saying, look, again, like we reported on last week with New Mexico begging for federal funds on this, saying the same thing, that now, you know, we have a health crisis because the detention facilities are so full, these people are getting sick and catching the flu, and now that's requiring hospitalization, a lot of antibiotics, and the county just doesn't want to pay for it. However, if you're a sanctuary city in a sanctuary state, get used to it, because that's where your money will be going from now on, to take care of people who are coming to this country without going through the legal, lawful process, because as we know with the political asylum, they have to go to the first country, and the vast majority of these people are coming from Central America, so Mexico is where they need to be.
Kimberly, I'm going to take our break. We'll be back. And speaking of New Mexico and the border and the wall, group got together, private group in New Mexico, and constructed their own wall. We'll talk about that much more. Streaming live is Facebook and the website thekdreport.com. Kimberly Dvorak, streaming live at let me find that over here. There it is, Periscope.com. It pops up right there every once in a while. Periscope.com and of course Facebook. You know, you talk about the border, right?
Yeah.
And there was a federal judge that blocked last Friday President Donald Trump from building sections of his long-sought border wall with money secured under his declaration of a national emergency. And this was the U.S. District Judge Haywood Gillum Jr. And his order applies to two projects that were scheduled to begin as early as last Saturday and replace 51 miles of fence in two areas on the Mexican border. Now, I don't think that fell into the category of the one that was announced yesterday, this private group that built a half-mile wall on the second U.S.-Mexico border in New Mexico. And it was all donations, I guess, 18-foot high.
First of all, the judge, apparently, I guess he doesn't believe that America should have a border with 100,000 plus migrants coming into our country every month. And he doesn't think the president has the authority to, I guess, sign executive orders. Not certain that I read anything from this guy that he was, blocking all of President Obama's executive orders out there and trying to get the information out fast and furious, and the IRS scan, all these other things that President Obama was a part of. It's pretty shocking that, the construction was about ready to be underway, and this judge puts a temporary order on it, which means this will have to go to the Supreme Court. It takes time, and this is just another Democratic stalling point. So when it comes closer to the election, they can say none of the wall has been built. In the meantime, we have this a group that rose $22 $1 million to build border wall, and this was all the donations were from Americans who wanted to have the wall built, and this young veteran who's a triple amputee came out and in December started this, raised the $22 million, and was getting hassled by the folks at GoFundMe because his original, I guess, thing was that we're raising $1 billion. And they haven't got to that point yet, and so they're trying to dismantle that, and claiming that there was no construction. And of course, here on Memorial Day weekend, we see that some of this wall and border fencing is going up on private land, and then he's got to kind of go through we have to release it for $1 a year, and they can't necessarily give it back to the government. So they still have some logistics on figuring out how to do that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
For some reason, you were cutting in and out. Bad signal. It's probably, the other side is sending pigeons up to block our signal or something.
Yeah. So he's started. The construction has commenced along the border, and it's no thanks to the the U.S. government. It's thanks to American people who are actually putting their money out there and having this wall built.
They were saying that they built it. The section was built faster, likely more cheaply than the government's been able to manage in recent years. On this GoFundMe, did I see something on an email or something from you that I do not have? Where people is the GoFundMe still in action?
Yes, it is.
Still up and running.
Yeah, they can go to GoFundMe and build the wall. They type it in and they can donate. And I've talked to a lot of people here in San Diego just over the weekend that they said that they think that they should be able to donate and get a tax deduction for this, and they donate a lot more money than just the average cost. I believe the average donation is somewhere in the $60 to $70 range. But you've got a lot of people who have money and said, if it's tax deductible, I'd give them $10,000 to build the wall. So, it just shows you that people who do live along the border region, they're prepared to actually pay for it. And it's pretty sad that our country and our government, and, in DC, there will be no lawmakers in town for the next 10 days. That's why I'm back in San Diego. Nobody's working. We have all these pressing issues, migrants crossing, they're bringing diseases, there's no money to take care of them. I mean, there are all these issues, and everybody's home hanging out with their family and not taking care of the business of what they were actually elected to do, represent their constituents.
Yeah, but see, I think you cut out again. I can see your lips are moving. But anyway, it's the Democrats, because, as I always say, they've got to get it in their little head sooner or later, Hillary lost. But, right now their primary thing is investigating the investigators who did the investigation, and they didn't get the results they wanted. And their insurance policy, that would be Hillary's dossier that she paid for from Steele. That didn't work out. And now I heard this morning, I guess it was on Fox, that one of the Democrats, it might have even been Tlaib, talking about, the Republicans are not concerned with working with Congress on doing anything, da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's the old, Alinsky book. Blame them, the other side, for things you're doing, and tell the lie enough that pretty soon they start believing it. And I'm going to tell you, listeners, if you think that the Republicans aren't trying to get stuff done, they are. But Nancy and Schumer's being a little quiet, kind of strangely. But anyway, they just say, no, we're not going to talk to you. We hate Trump. We hate Trump. We hate Trump. And we're going to win in 2020 because we hate Trump.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, take this. Democrats, I've been going to a lot of different luncheons and seminars that is primarily, run by Democrats in DC. And these people who are, making things happen in the DC area, they actually understand this. They're like, we need to talk to these congressmen and senators. We can't run on, we hate Trump. We can't run on, impeach Trump. We need to start running on issues, because the president's busy checking off the things on his list. And, so the powers that be are saying that, they realize and recognize that they need to run on healthcare. They need to build up that, they call it the fervor and the anger that is kind of similar to what happened with the Republicans in the Tea Party movement in 2010. They need to capitalize on that anger within the party, but they need to redirect it on issues like healthcare, like infrastructure. And, right now they're hearing, investigations. They're hearing, we need to, talk to people that have attorneys for the president. They're not going to come down and divulge information. It's just not going to happen. I mean, legally, it's not even plausible to, happen. We have laws. Unless Congress wants to work and change those laws, which they haven't shown and nothing that they wanted to do with any of that. So you have people that are trying to do this, but the DNC, headquarters DNC, is sending out talking points about Russia, about what to say about the president and all the negative campaigning. And they're not running on issues. And that's going to lose them the election. It's going to be really hard for them to beat President Trump in any event, because the economy is rolling along, and he may not be Mr. Popularity to half the country. But you know what? When it comes time to vote, and they're seeing that they're making money, their jobs, the wages are going up, it's a really hard thing to vote against.
Yeah, when they realize the big lie, hopefully it's not going to be too late for the country. Hey, one other thing here on this, on the border and the whole thing is, you mentioned that the Sierra Club has a coalition of communities, and they are bringing lawsuits to halt the border construction.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about the phoniest organization behind, don't build the wall and keep the immigration flowing.
Yeah. Well, we're looking at
Seen all the trash and the race streets.
Exactly. And this is what this is what they don't recognize, that that there are consequences with people crossing the border illegally and going across regions where they may have butterflies they want to save, or lizards, or whatever the animal of the week is that they want to save. These people are going by there, and they all have to use the restroom, and there's no restrooms out there, so they're doing the amount of environmental damage, walking across maybe endangered plants out there. They're squashing them and killing them because they don't have any care in the world about what they're doing. They leave, like you said, they leave the trash, the paper, the plastic, and it's, for the people who say they're the party of environmentalism, they ought to be really concerned about this and say, look, exactly. And, you've got 17 other states that are, trying to sign on to this lawsuit. And it's like, it's got to be, I mean, I guess they take us for fools. They think that Americans are going to say, hey, it's climate change, so we need to make sure that we don't build a border wall. I just think that, it's going to come down, and we've got 18 months to go to the election. They're going to continue to do these silly things. Voters are going to continue going and dropping their kids off at school, going to soccer games, dismissing what's on mainstream media. And when it comes time to vote, the polling won't be correct like it was last time, and the president will win again, because people they see this as complete nonsense. And I'll just want to say one thing about California, especially, is we sit here in one of the most probably environmentally friendly counties in the state, in San Diego. And an example, they're going to be putting roundabouts on Coast Highway here in San Diego, roundabouts. And then, they changed the parking. It's not only going to create traffic, people don't know how to use roundabouts here, but it's going to create pollution, because we're going to be on the road longer. So I don't even know if these people get the fact that, if you're in your car longer, you're going to have a larger footprint. So, these are the silly things that they think that they're coming out and they're going to be environmentally friendly on all of this, and it's going to have the absolute opposite effect.
I always remember, we go back to law and Sierra Club and different things that the government does. I guess years ago, they built this giant antenna in Arizona, that was going to track asteroids or whatever.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it was built on the top of an anthill, and the government decided they had to move it, right?
Yeah.
And finally, I think the wiser people said, look, the ants will know that they can't get out of their original entrance, and they'll make a new one. Don't worry about it. But, sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time, I guess, these government people just don't know what's going on and what's happening.
Yeah.
A very important story you came up with, and we got to get this out, because I hadn't heard anything about this.
Yeah.
But the headline, "Chemical Attack was not committed by Assad." And this is according to an MIT professor. Tell me about the professor. The guy's pretty credible, right?
Yeah. No, I've got the report here. I met with him twice last week. And I know that we talked about on your show, and I've written a lot of stories on this topic with Syria, and we call them false flags, that we still don't know what group or organization actually, gassed the people in Syria, but we know now it wasn't the president, Assad. We found out through an MIT who's a scientist. He has nothing to do with politics whatsoever, and he's kind of, fallen into this. And they have taken satellite imagery, things like wind direction, looking at the site, all the photos, all the interviews, everything, and they came out with a report stating that Assad did not commit this act. And we don't know if it was perpetuated by terrorists. We don't know if it's perpetuated maybe by Iran, maybe Hezbollah, maybe Al-Qaeda. It could be Saudi Arabia. There are any, pick your country that supports terrorism and figure out, if they were the ones that actually perpetuated this. But, they did exhaustive, almost a 2-year study on this, and the conclusions were absolutely absolute. And in science, there's no really gray area. So they were able to conclusively say that these attacks that resulted in, America launching 100 Tomahawk missiles into Syria, causing more death, more destruction. And, saying, and I really think this is going to, when we look at it, and I'll have a story out on this tomorrow, when we really look at this, we're going to see that, this is something that's perpetuating the wars. We're seeing that, America may actually, our intel community has to know this. They have to have seen all of this stuff. I have the Security Council reports. I've got a lot of documents here that I'm still going through, and it's absolute. And to think that our intel community missed this, they missed this. And now, how many people have died in Syria?
And automatically, it's going to come up.
Yeah.
When did Trump know it, and did he know it, and did the Russians collude with him for him to do this,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
But again, where did this go? Where was our intel community? Where were they on this?
All right. One of the Tomahawk missiles, and Trump was, saying, boy, our people did so good. Those targets those missiles went in there perfectly.
Yeah.
Well, this professor, and I'll get this out real quick, what's his last name?
Postal. Postal.
Yeah, because he said, if I were advising somebody as I did when I was in the Pentagon, I advised the chief of naval operations, and part of my job was to take technically detailed analysis and translate it into information, and listen to this, that could really be understood by an intelligence non-expert. So if you're an intelligence non-expert,
yeah,
kind of wondering, all right, but we're going to continue with the rest of that story when we come back. Kimberly Dvorak, D-V-O-R-A-K, Senior Foreign Policy Advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy, and the website is VKD Report, and she streams live.